Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to another evening of Heart to Heart. We're certainly excited to be with you guys on tonight. Um, well, we are definitely kicking off another segment of Heart to Heart. We originally had Heart to Heart for quite some time on Facebook. Now we are introducing Heart to Heart Talks right here on YouTube. So, certainly excited about that. If you are new to us, make sure that you do give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel. So, tonight we are going to have a wonderful talk tonight and just really share heart to heart. So, this is a new segment. So, if you are new to us, welcome, welcome, welcome in. Certainly excited about our topic tonight. So, we will be going over and talking about the art of becoming me and the art of losing the imposter syndrome and embracing the authentic version of oneself. So, realistically, tonight we wanted to share that based off of just conversations that I was having, and realistically between complete strangers that have come together. A little bit of backstory here. Well, uh, on my staycation, as I've talked about briefly a day or so ago, I ended up running into just a few other business colleagues or people that are in business, if you will, and just really having an open dialogue and an open conversation of just life and transparency. And I got a chance to just share a little bit about my backstory, and the colleague also shared. So it was a wonderful interaction of one of transparency, one of healing, and one of clarity, coming to a realization that sometimes it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from or how a person appears. You'll be surprised when you begin having conversations how much more we are alike than we are different. A lot of times we can experience a lot of the same things, right? And we would never know it based off of appearance. But when we sit down to actually have a conversation, we find that we have way more in common than we do difference. And so that's what I got a wonderful chance to experience this evening with a total stranger colleague and end up having such a wonderful dialect conversation. So let's get into it. So, a little bit of backstory on me. I was sharing with her how years ago I ended up coming through having a stroke. Okay, and that's the part that I've shared very little here on YouTube. And one of the things that I was reminded with having that conversation is that was one of the best things I would honestly say that happened to me for me to begin to see life in a whole different way. I truly, honestly began to have a newfound appreciation for the gift called life. And that term came from me going through what could have been that a near death experience with experiencing having a stroke and all of everything that came with having a stroke. Um, and at that time, this was in 2017, and with that, my whole entire life changed. I felt like I was a stranger within my own body. Yes, um, because everything had changed, right? So, um, went from being very vibrant, I was a teacher, I was doing all those things, to now finding myself in a wheelchair, finding myself paralyzed on my left side, unable to walk, and hospitalized. Now, the traumatic change that took place is undescribable. And I begin to feel like a total stranger inside of a body that I didn't recognize. Um, and so much so till everybody around me felt like strangers. It was as if I was learning everybody all over again. And to have experienced that, I cannot begin to put into words what that did to me. And so maybe this will be helpful to someone who has experienced that, or you're a caretaker of someone who's experienced a stroke. Um, Even though you all are on the outside looking in at that individual, what you see is a shell of a person that used to be vibrant, used to be able to do everything. And so you're looking from the outside at someone who's experienced a stroke. They're no longer the same. So, this is what I will say with that: the person that it has happened to is also looking outside of that body, and they see how everybody is treating them. They see how everybody is talking to them. And sometimes, in all reality, people don't know what to say. When a person is unable to speak back to you, when a person can maybe don't have their words back, or unable to use their extremities, maybe they can't use their hands, and maybe they can't um, control anything, such as can no longer go to the restroom themselves, or can no longer eat, or drink, or do anything themselves. So, in all honesty, I experienced that. And the humility that comes with walking through something of that magnitude, and you find yourself locked inside this body that you don't recognize. And there you are, looking at the very people who are looking at you. You have thoughts, you have feelings and emotions, and you can't say it. Um, the messages are getting crossed. You know what you want to say. You're being asked things as simple as, "What's your name?" And it can become frustrating when you don't understand, why do they keep asking me my name? And it almost can seem like you're being picked on in some ways because an individual is asking you. But what I had to learn going through a stroke was that that is procedure. When they're asking you your name, when they are asking you, do you know where you are? When they ask you, what is today's date? When they ask you, who's the president? They are trying to see how much memory you have now versus before you had the stroke. So, all of those questionnaires, they have a whole listing of questions that they have to ask because that helps them to determine is it short term memory loss? Is the person dealing with aphasia, where they forget what they're talking about? I experienced all of those things. And it was so difficult that my outlet began to be writing. So, with that being said, the suggestion for me was to begin to journal. Well, I didn't journal prior to being hospitalized, and I didn't know what the purpose of that was. But I soon would discover that the purpose of that was to help me to have an outlet to express the things that I could not say, to put into words some of the things that I just couldn't say. And that's a very difficult place to be in. But I soon learned that as I was speaking from my heart with writing, the feeling and the emotions and the things of the doctors, what they're saying, and you've been stared at like you're a spectacle. Um, in some ways, talked down to in some ways, or as if you were incompetent and didn't understand. This is what I learned from being a stroke victim. We understand what you're saying to us, but in that moment, we can't express or say what it is that we want to say. So it's equally as frustrating for the person that it happened to as it is the caretaker or the loved one. It can be embarrassing. I went through all of that. I went through so many emotions that being able to write was my outlet. Now, the reason why we're sharing on this is because that gave me the ability to be able to um, share and a place of transparency. Well, we'll get back into that at another time. But I began to write. And I began to write. And when I got my voice back, I began to speak and read what I was writing. And the nurses or the doctors would come in and ask me, what did I write? And ask me to share. And before I knew it, I realized that the words that I was writing from my heart began to speak to the heart of other people. And in many cases, they were not walking through a stroke, but they were bouncing back and recovering from something. They were walking through something so much in life that they needed to hear the very words that I had spoken. I had no idea that people needed to hear my voice. I had no idea that me walking through having a stroke would make a difference to other people. And so the more I began to express and share, the more I realized that people were being healed, people were being blessed, people were being all of those things from me expressing what I was going through. Then I began to understand that it was bigger than me. And I realized I had been given the gift called life. And so for me, just being so grateful to God for my life and for Him giving me that opportunity to speak to other people, giving me that opportunity to share what I had been through and just the words from my heart. That's how Heart to Heart originally was developed and birthed back in 2017. And it was a regular on Facebook. And now we're introducing Heart to Heart with YouTube on tonight. So the birthing of a thing came from the pain and transition of me bouncing back from a stroke. So I ended up spending about 30 days in the hospital, from one hospital to the next. And I was put into a very fast paced, intensive program to where I would learn to speak again, occupational therapy, physical therapy, um, and all of that at once. And that is really what began me writing and expressing from my heart. And I began to write from the emotions of how I felt, but what I was looking forward to being. Because, see, at that time, I was paralyzed and without being able to walk and bathe myself. I couldn't go to the bathroom myself. I couldn't do anything anymore. And so my life had been snatched from me as I knew it. And during those moments, I could either give up or I could choose to bounce back. I could choose to fight. I could choose to be grateful. I could choose to think about all of the good. I could think about the fact that I still was alive. Um, what an opportunity. And so I chose to look at it as a positive. And I began to write from my hospital bed. And that's when I wrote my very first book, Journal to Recovery. Oh, blessings to you on Unapologetically African Queen's Alchemy. Hello. Hey, sis. Hey there. And sharing a little bit about my journey and how Heart to Heart was birthed back in 2017. And I'm now introducing Heart to Heart to YouTube. So, welcome to each of you tonight. So, there I was on a journey, a person that was now paralyzed. I was unable to walk, I was unable to do anything that I could. I couldn't dress myself, couldn't go to the bathroom without help or assistance. And that was what I was walking through. And during that time, as I began to write, I would write what I was thinking. And then it was as if I can hear God speaking back to me. And I would write his answer and the solution. So I would write things like um, being grateful for the small things today. I'm grateful that I was able to stand today. I'm grateful. My body's way of telling me thank you was when my body began to shake and rack with pain. Learning how to walk again, learning how to come through a stroke, learning how to use my voice again, guys. All of these things came from a very hard place. And I made up my mind and I said, because in my room, there was another roommate who had a stroke. She could not speak. She couldn't get her words out. And I remember laying beside her, and I said to God, I said, I will become a voice for the voiceless. I will speak for those who have no voice. And I began to look at the lady, and I could tell the nurses what she needed. I remember them leaving her on a bedpan for hours and hours. And I remember laying in the bed looking at her. She couldn't press her button. She couldn't do anything. And I remember reaching to call the nurses for her. I remember paying attention to her moves, her sounds. It was as if, as I was walking through my recovery, God opened up my understanding to now I could understand the unspoken request of people who were suffering in that way. And I began to write from that very place of being on the inside of a body that I did not recognize. And the more I begin to write from that place, the more that I begin to see God open up doors for me. I became so grateful that I would say having a stroke was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I understood having such a grateful heart for this gift called life. Sometimes we take things for granted. Our ability to use our hands. See, this is my right hand. This is my left. I could not lift my hand. My hands were locked into my body. I had to learn all over again. And it wasn't easy. It was not easy. But I was determined. And I would say every day, I look forward to walking again. Now, at the time, it looked very hopeless. It looked very, very bleak. But I was determined that I would stand and I would believe God. I would believe the word. I would believe in the healing. I would believe that I would walk again. I would believe that that was not going to be my life. And I made up in my mind, this is not my life. This is something that I'm walking through. And I choose to believe that I'm going to walk again. Now, did it come without hard work? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Were there times that I cried? Oh, yes. I shed tears. Were there times that I felt like, oh my God, why am I going through this? Did that cross my mind? Yes. Did I ever feel like that I was stuck inside of a body? I did. But I chose to look at what I wanted to see, not what was in front of me, not what was happening to my body. And so each day, the physical therapists would come in. They would come in back to back, starting about 5 a.m. They would come in. They would say, all right, we need to get a shower. We need to bathe you. Come on, let's get up. Let's go. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And they literally would walk you through things. And they would come in, and some of them were really hard, like army. They would come in there with an attitude because they didn't know what they were dealing with yet. They didn't know what kind of mindset of that person they were dealing with. And they would come in and say, and don't tell me you can't do it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear I can't. Let's get up. Let's do it. Let's do it. And they would come in with such forcefulness. And I simply would say in my calm demeanor, you'll never hear me say, I can't. I said, you'll never hear me say, I can't. Okay, give me 5. Give me 5 of those. But pull your muscles. And then I would say yes. And sometimes my extremities, my muscles, or whatever they were doing would just shake. They would shake because they were trying to remember. Muscle memory is what they called it. And so coming through all of that, and I tell you, it was an ordeal. It was a very trying time. And as I began to recover, as I got out of the hospital, I began to go live and I began to talk about my journey of healing. That's how I began heart to heart, because I simply would speak from my heart to the heart of people. And with being very transparent, it began to bring about healing for other people that were walking through various things. And I can't tell you that I understood the magnitude of what was happening, because I didn't. I really didn't. But before I even left the hospital, the doctors and the therapists would come and get me and roll me down to the big room where we had to have our group meetings once a week. And that was everybody that was in the hospital on that floor. They would roll in there, whether you were in a bed, wheelchair, or whatever. They would all bring us in there and speak encouraging to us. They would go over things to expect, go over how to do our mindset. We would exercise together. We would, all of us together. And here's the thing, we all were from different walks of life. We were all from different age brackets. We were all of different nationalities, different races. The one thing we had in common was that we all were on a bounce back. We were all bouncing back from a traumatic experience that life has hit us with. Some were in there because they had amputations. They had their legs removed. There were some motorcycle accidents and could no longer walk. There was another lady in there that had been in a car accident and lost her daughter. Her back was broke, her legs were broke, ankles broke, and they pushed her in there on a bed. She didn't even get to go to her own daughter's funeral because she was laid up in the bed and her daughter was 8 years old. So when I'm telling you, there was an elderly woman that had one of her breasts removed. But all of us in one room bouncing back from something that had happened to us. And I would be given the opportunity to read what I was writing. I had no idea the impact that it would have on other people's lives. But the doctors and the nurses were so impressed with the words that they asked me to speak to the people. And the more I spoke to them in those sessions, the people would cry. They would come up to me and thank me. They would ask me for copies of the book, copies of what I was writing, because it inspired them. They said that I put into words their very thoughts that were in their heart that they didn't know how to say. One of the things I began to understand is that my words had the power to heal. I never understood that there was a reason for my voice until that happened to me. I never understood that God was using me to speak to the hearts of people in such a dark place that was so hopeless. And I began to take on that challenge. Now, was it easy? No, because there's days that I didn't understand my own pain. I felt like a stranger in my own body. I no longer connected with people. And at the time, even the spouse I was with, I felt like a stranger. He was a stranger to me. My mind, my body had went through such traumatic experience that I was not the same person. I literally was not. Throughout that, it taught me so much about me, and it made me really soul search what God's purpose was for my life. Sometimes we go through things and we don't understand. We don't understand that level of pain. We don't understand that level of grief. And me having a stroke was shortly after my mother had passed. I was my mother's caretaker. And I carried the grief of that as well. And I tell you, it was a difficult thing to go through. And the healing began to come, not just with physical therapy, not just with occupational therapy, but it began when I began to journal my way to healing. I began to journal and I began to speak as God would give it to me. And it became healing for so many people. So we would do heart-to-heart talks, and it would also be a healing and a prayer room. It became a safe place for people from any walk of life who was going through something, who needed healing, who needed to be surrounded with a community, a tribe of people that understood the things that were not spoken. And when you go through a life-altering experience, that's how a lot of people can end up with PTSD. They can end up with all of these different aspects because, why? Because their whole life has been flipped upside down as they knew it. I can't explain how different you become, but I can tell you this. The person that experiences a stroke, they are locked inside of their body and they are looking out at people that are looking at them, who don't understand that they would love more, nothing more than to be able to communicate with you, their thoughts and their heart, but they cannot get the words out. And it becomes frustrating to the caretakers and to everybody looking at them because they're so used to you being one way. But the truth of it is, you're inside of there. You just can't tell them. You can't express it. You can't tell them that you feel embarrassed. You feel embarrassed that you're sick now. You feel embarrassed that you can't wipe yourself. You can't go to the bathroom yourself, and you have to wait for somebody to take you. And then they get tired. And I understand it. They get tired of helping you. And you have to deal with that. And the frustration. And I can't tell you how many embarrassing moments where I couldn't hold it. I couldn't wait in the hospital, and I couldn't wait at home. And there were times that accidents would happen on myself. And I remember crying because I couldn't change it. One of the hardest things in the world to deal with was when they said, it's just going to take time. Well, for many of us, being in this microwave generation type of it's my money and I want it now. It's my thing and I want it now. Well, I felt like that's my body and I want it back now. I want you to put me back the way that I was before I even came in here. Somebody fix me and fix me now. I don't want to have to wait. I don't want people waiting on me and bathing me and I can't use a bathroom by myself. I want you to put me back together again. But guess what? I soon had to learn that it was something that I needed to get out of walking through that. And I don't know who you are out there. And I don't know what you're walking through. But I do know that there is a lesson in everything we experience. Sometimes the pain is so great that we don't understand. Like, God, where are you? We don't understand. Yes, we yield to your sovereign will. But do you see us? Do you hear us? What is happening here? Why so much pain? Why is the experience this way? And sometimes you may feel those things. But guess what I've learned? That there is a purpose in the pain. Had I never gone through, I never would have understood that I had a gift called life and that God had given me another chance, another opportunity, not to waste it. And I also began to understand that it wasn't about me. So never mind being shy and all of those things, I didn't have time because people needed me. People needed my story. People needed my voice. Now, you will have those that will be naysayers and that are negative, and that's okay. But I want to remind you that there are people out there that need you. They need your voice. They need your story. They need what you have. And sometimes we don't understand the magnitude of what God really wants to use us to do. But I rest assure you that the right person just needs to hear your voice. That you are sent for somebody, somebody's, plural. You may not understand it all, but you will. You will understand it. And so I want to encourage you to embrace becoming you. It's entitled Becoming Me because I had to find who I was. And so many times we allow people to tell us or limit us of who we are. But they cannot tell you who you truly are. Only you can. Only you can discover who you truly are and not trying to fix it up for somebody else. I've tried to do it other people's way, and I was overthinking this whole process with YouTube. And the truth of it is, I believe that I'm here for a reason. I don't think I'm just another voice or another person on YouTube. I think it's greater than that. Matter of fact, I know that it's bigger than that. I'm here for the people who need my voice, who need to walk through healing in a very dark, hard place. And the same way God helped me, it is my purpose to help others. You need to be reminded that you are not alone. We are way more alike than we are different. Sometimes the presentation appears that we are so different. But I rest assure you that we have way more in common. See, each of us have walked through things in life. And the ultimate goal is to have complete healing in whatever we are walking through. So I encourage you, come out of hiding. Don't overthink it. Tonight is my YouTube debut of Heart to Heart. Well, Heart to Heart has been around since 2017 on Facebook. And I've spent so many years of my journey worrying about what people would say, the opinions or how. But I was reminded by a kind stranger tonight how important it is for me to share my story. I was reminded of my purpose. I was reminded of my commitment to be a voice for the voiceless and those who have no hope. See, I'm not just a person that talks about it. I'm a person that has lived it and still living it. See, I'm far from perfect. I don't have it all together. Far from that. But I am a person just like you that's had real issues, that's had real pain, that's had real grief, that just simply wants to be in a place where I can be transparent and I can be unapologetically me. I don't have to make up anything. I simply have to show up as myself and let you know that if I can get through this, you can too. I understood with experiencing a stroke that changed my life that the only limitation that I had was the limitation in my mind. And that goes across the board for any of us. The only limitation that you have is that in your mind. Your mindset will limit you. I would not be walking today if my mindset didn't believe and I wasn't willing to do the hard work. I was willing to do the hard work. Was it easy? No. Did I want to get up and exercise and walk and everything again? No, I didn't. But did I want the outcome of being independent and walking again, of being able to go to the bathroom myself again, of being able to bathe myself again, to being able to cook again? I wanted that better than I did the pain of getting up and making myself do the exercises. I wanted the bounce back bad enough. And I'm asking you, do you want it bad enough? Do you want it bad enough to keep fighting when it hurts? And life kept lifing. Everything around me kept happening. But I chose to fight to live. I chose to bounce back. Did people die around me? Yes, that was one of the hardest things, was walking through grief and still making a decision to live. Grief will paralyze you. I know all too well. But you can get through this. You will get through this. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you will be misunderstood. Yes, there will be times that you want to crawl in the bed and not get up. There are times that you may have to sit in the car and cry because you don't have the answers. There are times that you want to be able to answer people honestly when they say, "How are you doing?" When you want to be able to tell them, "Today I'm not okay." So why do I have to pretend that I'm okay when today just was not a good day? And I want you to know that sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And it doesn't mean that you're not strong. It doesn't mean that you don't have faith. It doesn't mean that you're not working hard enough. It doesn't mean that you're not praying enough. It means that you are human with human emotions. And there will be days. But the imposter syndrome tells you that you have to put on this facade and say, "Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. Yeah. How's it going? Oh, everything's great. Blessed and highly favored." Isn't that a favorite that people say? "How are you?" "Wonderful." And the truth of it is, some days you're not. You're just not. Well, for me, I'm tired. That's what began to cause me to take the layers off. No more imposter syndrome, pretending like I am okay if it's not a good day. When you are on a bounce back, there will be days that will be a good day, and there will be days that it's not so good. You may have lost somebody and you may have thought about them and it hit you, boom, before you know it, waterworks. And you're wondering, oh. What is this? It's okay. It still happens to me. I lost my mother 3 months before I had the stroke. And then I lost my brother a year and a half, almost to the date of my mother. So has it been easy? No. I've gone through a broken marriage of over 20 years. But I'm still here. And I keep getting up and I do it again and again and again. You know why? Because I'm worth it. And so are you. And there are people out there that need your realness, that need your rawness. I don't know how to do it according to what the YouTube algorithm thing is. I only know how to show up as me. And tonight, I give you me. That's what I know how to be. Transparent, real, authentic. This is Heart to Heart Talks. And I want to encourage you that it doesn't matter what you're experiencing, you're not alone. You will get through this. Nobody ever said that it's going to be easy. I would be lying to you if I told you that it's been easy, that if I told you loss after loss after loss has been easy. It has not. But God has graced me to be able to get through it. And we learn and we get stronger through every situation. So just know you will get through this. You are seen, you are loved, and you are needed. Yeah. You need to know that because a lot of times the strong friend, it's me, the strong friend needs a friend. The strong friend always needs an outlet as well. If you're a person that's always pouring out to other people, you need a place as well. So I invite you to come and sit with me as we go on these healing journeys, heart to heart talks. Because after all, it is the avenue to healing and wholeness. So, if you are a person that has been through traumatic experiences, life-changing experiences, and you've bounced back, I would love to talk with you. And I can't even, guys, listen, I can't even apologize for being transparent. My heart to heart talks are just that. You're not going to get the professional me that you see on the little lives. Hi. You're not going to get that. You're going to get just this. This is me. Unapologetically. Me My prayer is that my words in some way have inspired you, have encouraged you to keep going, have reminded you that it is so much bigger than you. There are people that you have not even met that are being inspired by you. So, thank you guys for coming in. Now I'm going to look at the comments because, see, I was in a zone there. All right. And when I'm in a zone, I'm just speaking from my heart. And if I stop and read, then I won't stay in the zone. I think it was important for me to be transparent. Oh, I've had so many comments. Thank you, Queen Alchemy. Thank you for being here tonight. Peace and love. Peace and love. Let me go back and try to read your comments. Thank you, Queen Alchemy. I don't know who else was able to show up. Okay. Unapologetically African showed up. All right. My sis is here. Thank you for joining, Queen Alchemy. Write it and make it plain. Yes, gratitude is key. Unapologetically African says, thank you, thank you. Yes, I know you are not the same. Queen Alchemy said, that is true. Definitely. Forever changed. Fatima, hello. She made it in. Hi, Queen. Peace and love. And so I thank you all just for being here. Those of you who did not say anything. Now, I'm not even going to worry about the lighting and all of that, because as you see, it keeps getting light and dark. I don't have a clue. But guess what? I was determined that I wasn't going to let it stop me. Queen Alchemy, I had to do a whole reset on this computer just to get it to act right. Oh my goodness, and go live. I was determined that I was going to do it. And you know what? That's how it is in life. When we make up our mind we're going to do something, everything tries to happen. But we're here. And we did it. So I am going to play a few clips, word from our sponsors. I'm going to let you guys be able to see some of the things that we've done in the past and some things that we will do soon. I do actually do professional voiceovers and commercials. This is one of our companies, and of course, this is yours truly. Looking for professionals skilled in HR and virtual recruitment? Then contact A-Lee Professionals today. At A-Lee Professionals, we take the initiative to identify pain points of recruitment and find the qualified candidates your business desperately needs. A-Lee Professionals specializes in career placements in all areas. A-Lee Professionals also offers stellar resume writing for that next great career move. A-Lee Professionals focuses on job placement to pay you for the skills and expertise you bring. A-Lee Professional Virtual Services also offers staffing with opportunities for government and executive level placement. Need HR help? Then let A-Lee Professionals work for you. Why settle for less when you can have the best at A-Lee Professionals Virtual Services? Why delay? Pick up the phone today. Hurry. Call 708-769-2043. Again, 708-769-2043. Call A-Lee Professionals today. That's 708-769-2043. You'll be glad you did. All right, guys. Thank you for all of our sponsors for tonight's Heart to Heart. And if you have a business or perhaps upcoming and you would like it to be featured here on the Heart to Heart segment, just simply reach out to us at heart, the number two, heart 360 at gmail.com. Again, that's heart, the number two, heart 360 at gmail.com. And we'll be sure to get with you so that you can also be a part of this wonderful platform. Now, if you're looking to be able to share your story, again, please reach out to us at the same email and let us know that you'd love to be on the platform so that we can share and hear your story of bounce back so that others' lives can be changed and transformed by hearing how you were able to overcome as well. Well, guys, we certainly appreciate each and every one of you for being here on tonight. This has been Heart to Heart Talks with Alicia J. Speaks. Until next time, you guys be blessed and have an amazing evening.